You're listening to the One Foot at a Time podcast presented by DrilRite Chemical. Today's guest, the queen of HDD, Renee Martin. And now, here's your host, the Mudman from East Texas, Dennis Whitehurst.
Everybody, thank you for joining in today. This is our podcast, One Foot at a Time, and we have a special guest speaker with us today, Miss Renee Martin, also known as the Queen of HDD. She is a general manager of HDD Broker. And how long? Tell us about your story.
Sure.
You've got a great story. We'd like to hear it.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I think this is a brilliant idea for a podcast. I love the name, and I appreciate the chance to be here.
We appreciate you being here.
Thanks. So, my dad brought one of the first drills into Canada back in the early 90s. And so I feel like I grew up in this world, in the HDD world. And so, family business, we all got put to work. And as it happened back then, typically, things haven't changed much now. My brother went to the field, I went to the office, but, we all got paid $2.50 an hour. So
big bucks.
Yep. Good equity wages back then. But, after a while, the market got saturated. There were more contractors. And so he switched to making tooling. So he made that briefly. And actually, some of his designs still exist today, though, back then nothing was patented. You just shared your ideas. Right. That's how you had to start.
And everything that happened in this industry is all just trial and error.
Exactly. Yeah. So, this was the 90s. And then he meant to retire, but then, the dot-com bubble burst. And 2001 hit, and he was getting phone calls. It was, hey, Ivan, I've got this drill. I'm going to lose it. I don't know what I'm going to do. Then you get a call from somewhere else like, hey, Ivan, I got a little bit of work going on, but I can't buy new. Who can afford to buy new right now?
Right.
And so he started putting people together. And that's how we started HD Broker. And
About what time? That was around 01?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And so I told Dad, I'm like, Dad, you know what? Do you need a website? And he's like, no, I've got a Rolodex. It's fine. I've got a Rolodex.
That sounds like me.
Right? But I bought HTML for Dummies because we were just carving stuff out back then. We made a website and we thought, he'll sell a drill or two to have extra green fees to go golfing, and I'll pay off some college fees. But we sold a drill that week, 1720, and then a drill the next week. And we realized we kind of hit on something pretty awesome. There really was no secondary market, and there was a need for it. But buying online was crazy. Like back then, there's no Facebook. There wasn't even smartphones.
No, I remember when HDD Broker first started, and it was it hit the market fast.
Yeah, exactly. And, people even sending us photos. Nobody had smartphones back then. They were literally mailing us, old CDs. Those old CDs you have to bring to Walmart to get printed.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, there was no way to send it back then.
Exactly. Well, even digital cameras, they were $800. We bought our first digital camera, $800. So that's how we started. And it's just very much in our DNA to never say no and to try new things. We had a customer call and say, would you ship a drill to Poland? And we would say, sure. And then we figured out how to do it. So we became problem solvers, as everyone has to be in this very young, very difficult industry. So that's how we started, and that started in 2001. And that was, what's my math, 23 years later. And so now I'm GM. I've followed in my father's footsteps, which is what I always wanted to do. And he never wanted me to stay in this world, but...
Well, I think he would be very proud of you.
Thank you.
And I think he would, with what you've done, I mean, you're getting a lot of traction yourself. Not, everybody I think that's in the industry. I've got, kids of my own that's in the industry. And I think everybody, they don't mind following in Dad's footsteps, but they kind of like to make their own story a little bit too.
Yeah.
So I think everybody's really proud of you, the traction you're getting, because you're doing it yourself. You're getting out there. You're bringing people together that aren't always together, and a lot of your stuff is getting seen a lot. You're really making a mark, and people know you. I think a lot of people, the more you're seen on the internet, the better it is, because people put you together and tie you together. And I just think that's awesome what you're doing.
Thank you. I so appreciate that. And I never really intended to do anything like that. I actually find the social media piece a little bit challenging. I'm a little camera shy, but I really feel like this industry needs a voice. It's just a tremendous industry, and it has a lot of challenges.
Yes, it does.
I know you were talking to Robert Myers about the HDDA Association and what kind of really great opportunities there's going to be for that to make changes to our industry, but in the meantime, I just want to put a spotlight on everyone I can.
Right.
Even though I sell used drills, we all have to be in it together, which I've heard you say many times as well, which I totally take that to heart.
Yep. Yeah, it's and that's just, we got to find common ground, and I think we're doing it. And I think we're doing it, a little piece at a time here and there, and you start seeing your competition start joining you on things, and that's always a good sign. So tell me about when you first started in the business, not necessarily working at the office every day, but when you first got your go get 'em Tiger.
Go get 'em Tiger. 2014 was when I became GM, and I don't know that there was one particular tipping point that happened. We're a family business where we've grown as a family and extended beyond that. I really like to emphasize culture in our office, so make everybody feel like they're part of the family. But I don't know that there was a particular tipping point that I felt less like that things really engaged.
Right.
I've just always been deeply passionate about it, and maybe social media has just given a channel and an avenue to be able to broadcast that a bit more. But I think I hope that I'm just as authentic, in my everyday work as I am on podcasts or anywhere else.
And you hit a point a while ago saying that you really didn't. You're kind of camera shy, and when Anthony first come on board with us, and we started doing stuff, and he would be like, "Okay, we got to get you to do this. We got to get you to do that," and I just felt like it wasn't my cup of tea, in other words. And so, but the more I was challenged, it's actually been fun. It's been a challenge, and I like taking on a new challenge, and I feel like that's what's needed. Robert B. He just said he was camera shy himself. Yeah. You just made the same statement. I was the same way, but I think when you have industry leaders come together and you're like, you know what? I will take on that challenge because it's needed, and we can all push each other and, encourage people to work together. And, you guys you're selling to every side of the fence. It doesn't matter what brand. I mean, you guys have done a phenomenal job, and you've got a great company. Where do you see the trends? Like, tell me what you see the trends doing.
So the used equipment market has been very interesting in the last 5 years. I mean, we went through extreme global supply shortages, just, the manufacturers did, and that triggered a lot more used equipment purchasing because new equipment wasn't available. And then, of course, on top of that, there was just so much more fiber work. And so all of a sudden, used equipment was like the hottest commodity there was. It was the only way people could get drills. And so we saw just a real sharp decline in inventory and a sharp increase in pricing, like ridiculous pricing. Like,
they was paying as much for a used one as they
for new
could get a new one.
1620s for $90,000 that someone pulled out of their shed and hosed off. But I mean, it was a great opportunity for us to kind of have to navigate the ups and downs of this world and the inventory. Now we found that inventory is normalized. And sometimes people think that there's too much on the market right now, but it really isn't. It's the same as it was pre-2020. And so I think it's a healthy amount because you need to have a certain amount to have a supply and demand balance. And so you got to have enough drills to keep the prices at the right point and be able to offer contractors choice.
Right.
And that's the beauty of used equipment is we're not stuck to a territory, we're not stuck to a brand. We just tell us exactly what you need and we'll find it in the used market.
You just cater to the market. Whatever the market's needing at that time is what you're trying to help fill that void there.
Yeah, I do see we're going to have a drop in used inventory again. We've already dropped 20% in the spring because already the smart contractors who see all this great work coming up, they're picking off late model, low hour drills because they're getting ready for what's coming.
So you think it's going to get really busy?
I'm convinced of it.
I am too.
Yeah.
I feel the same.
I think every one of these shows we've been to, every speaker I've heard, hearing even about the data centers alone are just really going to drive this industry in ways that I don't even know that we're ready for.
Well, and I'm not so sure we are either, because I was telling a guy this morning, we do mud programs for people in our industry. And we do these mud programs, and normally we'll get some and we'll get a few. But from October of last year till right now, it's unimaginable how many have been sent for us to do these mud programs. If half of the jobs that we've produced mud programs for, every maxi rig company in the industry will be swamped with work.
That's amazing.
Because it's just unreal. And I believe we're fixing to see a boom. I know we've had booms in the past, but I believe it's about to get just extremely busy.
Absolutely. I completely agree. So I feel like we're going to see a big demand for used equipment again, because the new manufacturers, either people can't afford them or they can't get them fast enough. And so people turn to used in those scenarios.
How quick does it take you? If I want to sell a piece of equipment and I call you, how quick can you have it ready to sell? Like out there for people?
Just send me pictures and videos. We try to do it within the hour of receiving marketing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fast turnaround. We do try to get good exposure for people as soon as we can. And then we do global exposure too. We actually have 19 different websites. And so we do have some people who are like, hey, I don't necessarily want to sell my drill rig back into my own territory. We can help them move it outside of their territory. So again, the beauty of used.
Yeah, there's some of those people don't want them to know that their guys are the ones been sitting on that rig.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah. So where do you see this industry? Let's look 5 years from now. Where do you see this industry going?
Only stronger and stronger. I think we'll see shifts. Maybe it won't be as much of a telecom focus. Maybe we'll shift more to the infrastructure, water, sewer, electric. I think the data centers are going to drive that for years and years. I think we're still going to see a boom. But, what exactly those industry are will probably shift a little bit here and there, I think, in the next 5 years, but strong.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I believe it's going to be a strong move. One thing I see happening, being a part of some programs, being a part of some of these groups, people are starting to set their differences aside and come in for a common cause and hey, just because we're competitors doesn't mean we can't, help this industry in some way. And I'm seeing more and more of that. And I think that's what's going to open up a lot of doors for people and, start getting a line of communication from between people. Yep. Even if you're not working together, you're still in the same industry. And by building the relationships, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And that's how my dad did it at the beginning of time too. You work with your competitors because that's the only way you could learn. It's good that we're coming back to that.
Yep.
Yeah. We've made
he did an awesome job by starting that company, because it's been a great company. I've used it myself in the past, and I think everybody in the industry's used it at one point or another. And it's a great service. You guys do a great job, and you're definitely doing your part of it. So
I appreciate
congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
Do you have any advice that you would like to give to newcomers, people that haven't been in the industry long, just some advice that you've seen through the past that you would like to pass on?
I would tell people to lean in to this industry. It's a very small industry at the end of the day. So the quicker you build up those relationships, that network, the faster that you can participate in it, I think the more you'll get back out of it. That would be my advice.
It's great advice.
Anybody who tries to do this alone, it's too hard to do alone.
It is.
Yeah. So lean in, go 120% at it and do it right.
Right.
And then that's where the success comes from.
And all you have left in this industry is your name, and when you keep the integrity of your name in the industry, and not every job is going to go well, and you can tell the winners from the losers because a guy that has a job not go well and he just, totally just throws it out the window and walks off and leaves somebody in a bind.
Yeah.
That's normally the guys that you see not really succeed because they don't get invited to the party the next time.
Right. Exactly right.
And it's the same with, word gets around just like, used machine industry. People that you're not going to give as much to because they don't take care of their equipment. They don't maintenance it so it's devaluing by them doing the things they're doing. It's devaluing their worth.
Yeah.
And so if I want to buy a piece of equipment, tell me how to go to your site.
Yes, please buy a piece of equipment. Yeah, it's just hddbroker.com. Like I said, we have the website. We're pretty global. We've got a pretty big media footprint.
Oh yeah, you guys are huge
out there, and so call the office. Our sales guys do a really good job. If you want to sell your equipment, they do a great job of screening people so that they're not. Because there's nothing worse than listing something on Facebook and getting all those phone calls, all those tire kickers, all those time wasters. Well, we screen people so you don't have to deal with that. So list equipment, and then if you want to buy the equipment, just give us a call. We find the drill.
So do you take care of shipping it to them and things like that?
We do all the legwork. We do a lot of the due diligence with the liens. We help with the financing. We send the money. So we do everything, all the steps in between. We try to make it very easy for the buyers and sellers because I feel like the broker can sometimes be stigmatized. And so we have to really work extra hard to prove our value. And so we really, really push customer service beyond just, what typical brokers would do.
Well, that's everything in this business. If you don't have good customer service, you wouldn't have lasted this long.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Well, Renee, is there anything you can think of that you would like to let anybody know?
Gosh.
Anything new coming up? Anything you can think of where you're going to be?
Lots of shows coming up. I'm going to be the MC at the HDD Rodeo, which is at Utility Expo this year in October in Louisville,
that's exciting.
Kentucky. Yep. It's kind of nervous about that. I've never done anything like that. But again, just one of those doors that opened just by participating in social media and part of these kind of programs. So I'm excited for that. And we've got lots of good stuff coming up. Well,
thank you for stepping up and doing your part at these events. And, you're always trying to promote people, and I think that's great. We appreciate you coming today, and I appreciate you on a short notice coming over here with us and being a part of this. And if you guys want to reach out to them, learn more about it, look at their products, go to hddbroker.com, and you'll see everything they have going.
Yeah.
They've been around a long time. As far as I can remember, that was the original site to get stuff on, and it's still peaked out and selling phenomenal amounts of stuff. And it's always good. They do their homework. They do their due diligence. They're honest about. That's one thing I can say about them. They're honest. I mean, if something has something that's not exactly right, they tell it. They don't hide anything. So appreciate you being here. Look forward to maybe doing it again sometime, and just keep doing what you're doing. And what do you always tell people?
There's no crying and drilling.
That's exactly right. Well, thank you for being here, and we'll see you on the road somewhere.
Thanks, everyone.